Yes. All right. First things first. So yes, there are some changes. Let's see here. Because the state government board of education made the NTI days worth 7 hours. I guess they were worth less than 7 hours. Didn't know that. It put more hours into what we're doing for the school. Seat time, which means we have to go 180 days or whatever the hours are for each class. And so it shortened it up. So I have a calendar here. Let me see if I can share my screen here. Okay, share screen, and we're gonna go here. My screen may look different because I have mine actually elongated. So hopefully, I don't know if you guys can see this. So I'm gonna open it from my email. Dr. Kirby, we need, this one's in my way. All right, here's the updated calendar. Okay, gotta see the waiting room, admit all. Okay, all right, so everyone should be in here. Let's make sure they're my students because I just kind of said admit all. Yep, y'all look good, okay. I'll let this window float down here. I can't really flip this around, I don't think. No, of course not. Maybe with Google Docs, maybe. See if I can turn the calendar around so we can actually read it. May 15th, I believe, is the last day for students. So that's what we're getting at here. And Google Docs totally messed that up. It just amazes me how nothing really works with Google. Anyways, so if you look at the sideways calendar here, we have NTI Day. This is for the month of May, 37. NTI Day is 37. So we've completed up to 36. That's what we've turned in for people to pick up, for people to do. I'm not sure when them are due. I think I'm not even gonna say because I don't know. But anyways, after those days, for the NTI days 37 through 40 or 38 now, they have starting May 4th, NTI Day 37, 38, and then Dr. Kirby put in review days. So those, and then there's of course Friday way back there, day 36. That's just a regular day. So there's like 3 NTI days I believe we need to do. No, 36 was in the last bunch, so there's 2. So I have to create 2 more. And I'm going to use the same cover pages. I have no idea what I'm going to do yet, but I have to do 2 more. So we'll be putting those into the calendar. The review days are for going over like Tangerine, making sure everything's, people understood the novel, people got what they needed to get out of it. And then we have catch-up days up to the 15th, and that's for students to catch up on work that they may or may not have gotten done. So that's the calendar. Let me go back, stop sharing my screen so I can see the chat. Yes, it was sideways and I couldn't fix it. So that's the May calendar. So I believe students are done on May 15th. So you guys got out, 12 days earlier than you normally would have. And had we been in school, I think we'd have probably had a couple of NTI days anyway, so you'd probably ended up going until probably June 6th or something. So you guys get out early. Between now and then, my plan is to do enrichment and catch people up on Tangerine. I do have to turn in, it looks like days 37 and 38. So there'll be, whatever I do for lessons there will be stuff that I guess everyone has to do because they're making us do that. Maybe I can be crafty and somehow make it a makeup day too, or something. I don't know. I will figure that out. Other news, staff's last day is May 26th. That's when we're all done. And what else? I'm trying to think. I think that about covers all the news. So we're not going back this year. And that's that basically. So and next year we'll see what next year brings. If we you know, I'm sure we'll all be coming back at the same time. Hopefully I'll be coming back, you know, not sure, but we'll see. And yeah, I think that covers everything. So with that, tomorrow I'm still trying to put together and figure out what to do for the enrichment. So we have 39 NTI days total. Let me check the calendar. I've got it actually on my screen right here, which had just disappeared. We have 38, it looks like, 38 total NTI days, according to the calendar. So, but you have to remember that the first 4 were like the ones that we did while we were in school, so they're not really going to count, you know, but the ones, it's pretty much 5, I think, through 39 that are going to be all since we've left for the coronavirus. So, all right, with that said, I don't think I forgot anything else. Oh, some teacher update stuff. We're putting some stuff together for the kids, all the students. There was talk about doing a group-wide live class once a week with all the students. I don't know if that's going to happen. What else is there? They're trying to put together something for the 8th graders, like a recognition, like a ceremony type graduation. It's going to be remote. So look for that. If you haven't been watching, you might want to make sure you friend the Jackson County Middle School Facebook page. I know Dr. Kirby's putting a lot of this information out there, like the calendar, updates on expectations and grading, all that stuff I think is being put on both the district website and I think the Facebook page. So you might want to friend that page. I think that's about it. For the enrichment this week, like I said, I'm still putting it together. I know we're going to do one of the sessions about the Florida Keys and some history there. That's pretty interesting. And we'll have my daughter, you know, Zoom in with us so she can show, you know, some things around the Florida Keys, which will be really fun. So you guys get to go to the Florida Keys virtually, which is pretty fun. I'll talk to my other friend who's in Colorado, and maybe next week that'll be on the docket. Around my house, you know, it's funny, really kind of funny, and I can't really show you because my webcam is attached to the computer. But in reading the book, let's see if anyone can answer this question. What did Eric and Arthur, and even before Arthur, what was Eric notorious for doing to mailboxes? Does anyone remember? Type it in the chat if you remember. Let's see here. Let's see if anyone gets this one. Let's see. Yeah, destroying them with baseball bats. And the other night, I came outside and noticed that my mailbox was rather destroyed. And so I thought, well, I guess a car must have hit it, you know. And as I went down the road to go to Town and Country, I noticed that the veterinarian office mailbox was also destroyed, and the one down from that, and the one down from that. And then I realized someone was going down the road hitting the mailboxes with baseball bats. So, which brings me to a possible enrichment thing. I will be having to rebuild my mailbox, and instead of just putting up a regular pole and another mailbox that can be abused by a baseball bat, I went ahead and picked up 20 cement blocks and some concrete and some steel rebar, and I have a whole bunch of river stone around the yard. So I'm going to make a concrete encasement for the mailbox, and I'm going to cover the concrete with the river rock that is all around my house. So it'll be a stone mailbox enclosure. I don't think I'll have to worry about baseball bats in the future, but it might be an interesting enrichment session to show how I'm gonna shape the stone, because I actually have to cut or break the stone so that the sizes are right and I get a nice level line at the top. So that could be an enrichment thing. Maybe even splitting some wood might be an interesting one that we can do. I'm going to also get a hold of some of the area businesses and see if we can get a tour around some places. Maybe check out some parks that are open, maybe even fishing, who knows? So that's going to be what is going on for the enrichment, and we'll see how that goes. The only thing I do have to say is, as soon as I get NTI days 37 and 38 figured out, I will post them out there. You know what? I've already got one. I think I know exactly what I'm going to do for NTI day 37 and 38. I'm going to tie them back to the novel so I don't have to introduce new content. And let me know if you like this idea, because I was going to talk about this today, but I can make this an assignment for NTI days 37 and 38 so everyone gets credit and everyone's happy. But we'll actually talk about that in a minute. Remind me to get your guys' opinions on it after we talk about the chapter. So any questions at this point? Just give me no or yes, I do have a question. Okay, sounds good. So we finished reading Tangerine. What an interesting book. So I gotta look and see what chapters were actually assigned for today. Okay, we had assigned for today. Oh, well, I'm way off. I need to get way down here. All right. We had Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, December 5th to the end. Oh, that wasn't much at all. Yeah, Paul's dad takes Eric down to the police station to talk to Sergeant Rojas, and they were gone for quite a while. I don't recall it saying, it never really tells. The book doesn't say what happens to Arthur's arrested, but we don't know if what happens with him. As far as Eric goes, he's told to stay home and they'll be in touch with him. So, but his dad does make a note. He says that some of the there's a Dr. Kirby was emailing or messaging. His dad says that whatever the penalties are or the charges are, he'll have to face. And then it goes on and focuses on Paul, I believe, in the last part, or the chapters kind of run together. But Paul has to go to a new school. He is actually expelled from Tangerine Middle School, or in all county schools, for jumping on the coach. And he ends up going to the private school for the year. But he's confident that he will be going back to Tangerine Middle School or high school, I believe, next year, or for the next school year, because he thinks that they're going to, give him, kind of a pass or a break in getting in. And he plans on playing soccer for them next year. And so let's see what else happens in this chapter that I may have forgotten about. Let's see here. Not Lewis, but I think it was Tino or Victor, one of the two, called Paul right at the end and said, "Hey, good job. It's great. You're going to be going to school." And so Paul feels like he's really part of the team, like he's real, friends with them. And then there's a lot of other things about the Mike Costello tree comes up at the end. It's kind of a representation of what I'm going to talk about after we finish this, and that's how there's been so much conflict between the characters in the book and nature. And that's going to probably roll into your NTI day assignments. That should be an easy one. So they went down to the police station. Then it just jumps to the Tuesday, December 5th later. Paul has to write his statement out, and he decides to write his statement out in its entirety. And he sticks up for Lewis and talks about how what Lewis had done was, how their whole family is and how he plays into that. So I'm pretty sure he gave him all the information that we read in the book. And then Wednesday, December 6th was the first day of school. He had his new clothes because his mom finally took him shopping, and his dad actually took him to school. And that's when they noticed the Mike Costello tree. And what was kind of funny is that the very last line of the novel, which is usually pretty important, the last paragraph reads, "Soon the road narrowed to 2 lanes, and we were surrounded by the grove, surrounded by the beauty of it all. I stared through the window at the endless rows of trees, orange, tangerine, lemon. flying past us on either side. I rolled down the window and let it all in. The air was clear and cold, and the car immediately filled up with that scent, the scent of golden dawn, which is the tree that Lewis had basically invented with the grafting. And it said a couple of chapters ago that I think Lewis's dad and the whole family was working hard to get all the orders out, because I guess the tree was a success, the Golden Dawn Tangerine, and they had more orders than they could handle, so they were working on getting all those orders out. And so that's one of the reasons why I thought it would be fun if we could do some grafting. Richmond, if I can ever get to TSC again and get some saplings. But I'm kind of glad we didn't do it outside, because 2 nights ago it snowed, or 2 days ago, 3 days ago, we had that, it got really cold. So we'll have to see. Now, I know that you guys don't have the books in front of you, but the author, Edward Bloor, was actually, he's the author of acclaimed novels, The Crusader and Storytime, a former high school teacher, and he lives with his family near Orlando, Florida. So he was a teacher, and kind of like Stephen King, he looks like he moved into writing novels. He also seems to have had a lot of personal experience with soccer and in history. He does have a whole, it's not really a chapter, but there's a write-up in the back about Tangerine, or soccer, Tangerine, as far as what he talks about, how soccer was a big deal in the 1960s, and it's just kind of like how he came to know so much about soccer and why he made soccer such a focal point of Tangerine. Then he actually has some reader chat questions, and one that I thought was really interesting that I wanted to talk a little bit about today is the idea of theme. And when we were back in class, I had talked about watching for things that kind of repeat themselves throughout the novel, and these sometimes become motifs or they become themes. In the case of one of the major themes of the novel, one of those major themes is how, I thought I wrote this down, I did. Man versus nature. How do people try in the novel to undermine or control nature? So if you think about that, all throughout the novel, nature's kind of an issue. We have the muck fires, we have the sinkholes, we have, well, even a little bit with the Tangerine, the Golden Dawn. That's humans manipulating plants in a certain way. But the muck fires, the more they tried to get rid of them and get rid of the smell, it would create other problems, like all the termites with the houses, because they cut all the tangerine trees down and buried them. This caused all those homes in that subdivision to have to constantly get tented for termites, because the termites lived underground, eating the trees that they had destroyed for development. The muck fires they tried to put out, and they doused with tons and tons of water, and all that water bred tons of mosquitoes. So for everything that they did, they kind of failed. Now, I will say one interesting thing that I noticed was the only person to have success was manipulating nature was Lewis, because he was successfully able to graft the tangerine trees together to come up with that new variety called the Golden Dawn. And in a way, that can be seen as, man versus nature in a good way. And I think it echoes the sentiment of the book, because he's a good person in the book, and he ends up, dying because, Arthur hit him. So I want to have you guys keep thinking about the theme. And maybe what I'll do is I'll put a discussion board up, and you can post in the discussion board all the things you remember that were based on nature that gave problems to people. So I already said several of them. You can restate them and whatnot. And maybe if we're lucky, I can count that as one of our NTI days that I have yet to come up with for 37 and 38. Maybe I'll have to do something different for 38. So I might put that one up early, maybe this afternoon. And then when I write up NTI Day 37, I'll make that as a assignment going back to the novel. So I'm still figuring out this NTI Day stuff because those days are so far out, like when they actually have to be done, it's kind of difficult to plan for. So I'm going to see what the other teachers are doing. And I know a lot of them, they said yesterday in the meeting, we're now just going to go on to Google Classroom and work on doing some fun stuff like the parables, I think that Mrs. Markham said she does, and all that. So looks like we've got another person trying to get in here. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so are there any questions at this point? Any questions at all? What about nature? Nature, well, I'm not sure when you posted that. I may have covered it, but yeah, nature itself is, you know, with the muck fires and the results of cutting the tangerine trees down, the winds, they don't really, well, actually, Paul does get fried, I think, by the sun. Doesn't he get sunburned when he's out in the groves? And then it gets cold, and so they're fighting the cold, cold, trying to save the tangerine trees. And all throughout the novel, there's many different examples. So like I said, I'll get that discussion board up. I'll put that also under here. I'll share my screen for a second to show you where I'm going to put some of this stuff. Okay, sharing my screen. All right, back over in Moodle. I'll probably put that stuff under all graded activities, and then I'll put it into the NTI Day, whatever it is, like 37. So it'll appear way down there. So I'll probably end up opening everything up. I'll just have to put it together over this week. And as I get it done, I'll open up each day's stuff, which it's going to probably get lighter with enrichment because I really wanted to kind of give people more of an opportunity to catch up with everything and not really give any new work, but we're being directed from the district that we have to do 2 more days. And I had not revealed to you guys NTI days at this point, 30 through 38, it looks like, I believe. So that means if I look at the calendar, I didn't even think about the calendar. We have about, so we have 2 days left this week. Then we have 5, so 5, 6, 7. And then if I jump over to the next day, 7 days, 7 days, 7 days. Okay, there's May, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Looks like 17 days of school left. Wow, you guys are lucky. Holy cow. So 17 days left. Let me jump back over and stop sharing my screen. So I'll put that in that discussion board in the days. If you're looking for it and it's not open yet, you want to look for that up here. It'll show up in the all graded activities, and there'll be the theme discussion for Tangerine. And I'm going to label that NTI Day 37, and then I'll see what I can come up with for NTI Day 38. And that'll be for the online people. I'll have to, I guess, do something different for the packet people. So, all right. I think that covers everything with what I'm doing. I'm still working on this interactive audio for if you, in case you're trying to catch up or re-listen to some of the chapters. It's extremely time consuming, and I've had tons of stuff to do with calling students and doing professional development and having the meetings and all that good stuff. So I'm behind, really far behind actually. So I'm going to stop the share and check the chat. What was NTI Day 37? Well, I'm thinking that hasn't been created yet. We don't have to have these until next week, but I'm thinking what I'm going to do for mine is that discussion board on the theme of Tangerine being man versus nature. How does man ignore and undermine nature and try to change nature in the story? So that'll be probably for NTI Day 37. Maybe I can roll it into day 38. Maybe I can say NTI Day 37 is to do a post, and maybe NTI Day 38 is to respond to someone's post for my online stuff. For the paper stuff, who knows? And it's probably gonna have to be something totally different. Maybe I can mirror it and just write that up and do a worksheet or something. So that's what I'm looking at. But it's a long way off. You don't have to worry about it. If you're in here, you're doing great. And if you're keeping up with the discussion boards, you're doing awesome. So I'll be also putting grades in this week, setting my grade book up for the NTI stuff. So I got that to do. And then I plan on doing the enrichment classes for live class. And of course, I can do live classes. We can talk about anything if you guys are having issues with anything too. So, all right. Are there any questions? Let's see. I'm looking in the chat. If everyone's good, when do you think we'll go back in August? I'm not sure when you guys normally start school. I think you guys were earlier than Mrs. Parmentier, I think. So I'd say probably around August 6th, August 7th. But that's going to be based on if everything is perfect by then with the COVID stuff. So from Uncle Andy's report last night, it sounds like we're still seeing cases coming in. We're at least 14 days out from being able to get to phase one. Phase one, I think, lasts 14 days. So we're 30 days out. So April, so let's say May 22nd, maybe. Then we got June, July, and August. So we'd have 2 months after that. It's going to be hard to say. I think it's anyone's guess. I don't think anyone can tell you if we're definitely going to be going back in August or not. My guess is that it'll probably be it'll be phased in. What I'm worried about is, remember in the novel, which is so funny, because what they talk about when the sinkhole happened, a split schedule. Guess what a split schedule would do at our school? It would cut the population in half, allowing social distancing while returning to school. It would not surprise me if the school district maybe came up with something like that to do, where there's a split schedule, where maybe only 25% of the students came back, and then it alternated. Like I'm just guessing here. If we have to follow social distancing and we're doing phased back, we could see schools open, but maybe at reduced capacity. So you might go on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and your friends might go Tuesdays and Thursdays, switching every other Friday. Who knows what they're going to come up with? Hopefully, we'll all just go back. So we'll have to wait and see. Are there any other questions? I don't think anything came up in our meeting this morning. We have one here in 5 minutes, and I'll update you on that tomorrow. I will post the recording in Moodle. And if you guys are all good, I guess type LOL in the chat, and you guys have a good day. All right, guys. All right, have a good day, guys. See you tomorrow.